When I say this is quite literally the only aim guide you need for XDefiant, then well, it is. And the source for this aim guide is Trust Me Bro. YouTube, how the duck you doing? Duck Films here. What I got for you today is an aim guide teaching you, yes you, how to aim better in XDefiant. Now quickly, before we get into these guides or tips, please do me a huge favor and hit that like and subscribe button, as it greatly helps me out, as we're so close to 3,000 subscribers. But that's enough about me, let's get straight into the guide. So getting straight into this aim guide for XDefiant, just like most games, there's two factors we're going to be looking at, both horizontal and vertical recoil. Now, if you're not the smartest, the vertical recoil is the recoil that goes up and down. Horizontal recoil is left to right. Now, when it particularly comes to horizontal recoil, there's a term called recoil smoothing, or however you want to describe it. But that term is basically when you're strafing to the left, you're aiming to the right, or when you're strafing to the right, you're aiming to the left. Now, this is probably the most useful and really only tip you need to know about aiming, especially in this game XDefiant. To really practice this, you want to head to the practice range, go over to the shooting board, and keep your aim in the center of the shooting board. Then you want to strafe either to the left or to the right, and you want to keep adjusting your aim to the center of the point. Now, what recoil smoothing actually does for you is that it's going to help minimize the amount of horizontal recoil you have to control. By moving left or right, or strafing from left to right, however you want to describe it, this essentially is going to eliminate the horizontal recoil so that you don't have to sit still and try to control the horizontal and vertical recoil at the same time. Now, I really can't emphasize how important this mechanic is, especially to this game XDefiant. As we all know, that movement in XDefiant is probably one of the top mechanics you need to learn. And I would classify recoil smoothing as a movement mechanic and an aim mechanic at the same time. But a dumbed down version of this is you see an enemy player, you either strafe left or right, and depending which way you go, you're gonna pull your mouse to the opposite direction. This in turn mimics if you were sitting still in this shooting normally. Now again, I'm just going to go over some more general knowledge or general tips to know when trying to get better aim in XDefiant. Now firstly, before you really maximize the ability to control recoil in this game, I highly recommend to get, your most favorite gun to at least to the pistol grip, so that you're really able to min-max how your recoil pattern is actually going to shape out to be. After you're able to min-max how you want your stats to be, I would then come into the firing range, mess around, figure out what your recoil pattern exactly is, and then go from there. For example, this is my favorite AK build. I use the lightweight barrel, pistol front rail, and then the remove stock with fast mag and red dot. Now, in terms of what really is going to affect your recoil, now again, for this specific build, again, this might be different than how you build your AK, but the general pattern is when you're holding down the fire, you can see it goes up into the right. That is for the recoil in general. So to correct yourself and control that recoil, you're going to be going right to left and down at the same time. That's how you control the recoil of this specific AK build. Now, you want to add all of this in to your recoil smoothing or your strafing patterns. So to do that, we don't have to worry about the horizontal recoil at all, but just the vertical mainly. So when you pair it with the recoil smoothing, your main priority is this going to be pulling down to the right. That's all you really have to think about when you add recoil smoothing to controlling your recoil pattern. Now, when it comes to controllers, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's relatively the same type of information I'm giving you, where you're using recoil smoothing to try to help your aim, but I could be wrong. Now, some settings to try to help you get better at aiming, especially if you're mouse and keyboard, I recommend these settings. You're gonna first want to start out with maximizing your FOV. Playing at max FOV allows you to absorb information better, you're able to see a lot more things, and sometimes, depending on how you see things, having max FOV can change something called visual recoil, where weapons will seem to feel better to control as it visually looks like there's no recoil. Now, another setting I highly recommend is the ADS field of view being at consistent. This means that when you're zoomed in to your scope or your red dot, however you want to describe it, once you unzoom or come out of that ADS, your FOV will still be the same as what it originally was. It's better to try and keep everything consistent so that you don't have to mess too much around with the settings. It's just a lot easier for you to tell what's going on. Now, following that, my preferred ADS behavior is hold. Although some people might use toggle, I prefer hold as it gives a better feeling, and I know exactly when I'm ADS'd and when I'm not ADS. Now, in terms of ADS sensitivity transition, this means the second you ADS or un-ADS, your sensitivity is going to change. If you change it from instant, your ADS sensitivity is going to be a little bit delayed, meaning when you un-ADS, your sensitivity is not going to be what it was originally, and it's going to be slower to get into the regular position. Now, two other things I have on is melee during ADS is set to off, and aiming interrupts reload. I have it set to that way because that's how I prefer it, and sometimes it can obscure it and mess up your aim. Now, a lot of people have been asking what my mouse sensitivity is. My general mouse sensitivity is at 37, and I play at the low DPI of 400. I prefer playing at a low DPI as it's easier to control my mouse, and I'm really used to games like CSGO, or I guess it's CS2 now. Another thing is both my mouse ADS low sensitivity and high sensitivity are both at 0.75. Now again, I like it on the lower side because I'm a little different and that's how I'm used to playing. Now I highly recommend you to turn off mouse acceleration. It's definitely not needed in a game like this, and I wouldn't put on invert vertical axis unless you actually really need it. But the biggest step to having zero recoil in this game, or having really solid control of the recoil in this game, is definitely to practice the recoil smoothing of what I first said. Now I just want to go to the last portion of the video as this gameplay, really showing you how to really use this recoil smoothing. But anyways, I appreciate you stopping by. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you in the next one. Oh, they're all coming up on that side if you have a fireball.
No, I didn't.
Damn. Bro, you could have had like 5 kills.
I killed 3.
Yeah, that's good enough. We take what we can get.
See, duck. Me 20.
They ultied on influence.
Yep. They like all ultied. Yeah, I ain't getting it.
Nah, not when this fucking guy with the shotgun is hyper where I'm going to. Because I'm like 80,000 cents. No, I wasted my ulti. Oh, it didn't go through. Bless.
That's the best feeling. Wow. I just walked in and killed him.